I was standing in my own living room, watching security footage on my laptop, when I saw my best friend of 37 years kissing my wife. Not a peck on the cheek, not a friendly hug that lasted too long. I'm talking about his hands in her hair, her body pressed against his, the two of them tangled up on my couch like teenagers who couldn't keep their hands off each other. The same couch where me and Williams used to sit after long days at the warehouse, dreaming about the empire we'd build together. The same couch where my wife used to fall asleep on my shoulder watching old movies. I watched the timestamp. 2:47 p.m. Tuesday afternoon. The same Tuesday I was across town meeting with our accountant, trying to figure out how to keep our business afloat. That's when I heard Williams's voice come through the laptop speakers, clear as day. "Leave him, Monica. I can give you everything he can't. I got the money. I got the life. All you got to do is say yes." And my wife, my Monica, the woman I'd loved for 12 years, she didn't pull away. She didn't slap him. She kissed him deeper. I want you to imagine that for a second. Really imagine it. The moment your whole world cracks down the middle and you realize everything you thought was real was just a beautiful lie. If you've ever been betrayed by the people you trusted most, if you've ever built something with your bare hands only to watch someone steal it from you, then you're going to feel this story in your bones. And I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment telling me what part of the world you're watching from. Because this story, it's not just mine. It's for everyone who's ever been stabbed in the back by someone they loved. My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 73 years old now, but I'm going to take you back to when I was 35, living in Baltimore, Maryland, trying to build a life that made sense, trying to be a good man in a world that don't always reward good men. This is the story of how I lost everything and found out who I really was. The thing about growing up in East Baltimore in the 70s and 80s is that you learned real quick what kind of man you were going to be. You had two choices, really. You could go the route most of the boys in my neighborhood went, selling dope on the corners, getting tangled up with the wrong crews, ending up dead or in prison before you hit 25. Or you could keep your head down, work twice as hard as everyone else, and pray that God saw you trying. I chose the second path. Even when it was harder, even when my stomach was empty and my shoes had holes in them. My mama raised me and my two sisters in a row house on Monument Street. My father, he left when I was 6. Just walked out one morning to get cigarettes and never came back. Mama worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices downtown during the day and working the night shift at a nursing home. I barely saw her, but when I did, she'd look at me with those tired eyes and say, "Daniel, baby, you're gonna be something. Don't you dare let this neighborhood tell you who you are." I held on to those words like a lifeline. That's where Williams came in. I met William Hayes in 7th grade at Frederick Douglass Middle School. It was the first week of September, hot as hell, and I was sitting alone in the cafeteria eating a peanut butter sandwich. No jelly, because we couldn't afford jelly that week. This kid sat down across from me, tall and skinny with glasses that were too big for his face. "You knew?" he asked. "Nah," I said. "Just quiet." He grinned. "I like quiet. Loud people get you in trouble." That was it. That was the beginning of us. Williams came from a different world than me, though. His parents owned a small grocery store over on Greenmount Avenue. Nothing fancy, but it was theirs. They had a house with a backyard. Williams had new shoes every school year. He had lunch money. He had a father who came to parent-teacher conferences. But Williams never made me feel less than. Never once. We became brothers in every way that mattered. When kids tried to jump me after school because I wouldn't run drugs for them, Williams was right there swinging. When his parents invited me over for Sunday dinner, they set a place at the table like I belonged there. When I needed help with homework, Williams stayed up late tutoring me in math. When Williams's life grandmother died and he cried so hard he couldn't breathe, I held him and didn't say a word. Because sometimes there ain't no words. We made a pact when we were 15 years old, sitting on the steps of his parents' store at midnight, watching the streets. One day, Williams said, "We're going to own something, something real. Not just survive, Danny. We're going to build." "What we going to build?" I asked. "I don't know yet," he said. but we're going to do it together. Partners. 50-50. That's the only way it works. I believed him. God help me. I believed every word. Fast forward to when we were 32 years old. I was working at a shipping warehouse during the day and picking up side jobs doing electrical work at night. Williams was managing his parents' store, but both of us knew we wanted more. We'd spent years talking about starting our own business, but talking and doing are two different things. Then one night in March, I remember it was raining so hard the streets were flooding. Williams called me at 11 p.m. "Danny, I need you to come over, right now." I heard something in his voice. Excitement, fear, both. I drove to his apartment in Fells Point, ran through the rain, and found him sitting at his kitchen table with papers spread everywhere. His eyes were wild. "My parents," he said, "they're willing to give me a loan, $50,000, Danny. $50,000. I couldn't breathe. $50,000 was more money than I'd ever seen in my life. "They'll loan it to me if we have a solid business plan," Williams continued. "I've been running the numbers for months. I think we can do it. I think we can start our own delivery and logistics company. Small at first, just a couple trucks, a few drivers. But if we do it right, if we hustle, we can scale." I looked at those papers. I looked at my best friend. "When do we start?" I asked. We called it Hayes and Carter Logistics. Williams insisted my name be in it, even though his parents' money was funding everything. We filed the LLC paperwork in April, bought 2 used delivery trucks in May, and landed our first contract with a local pharmacy chain in June. I worked like a man possessed. 16-hour days, 18-hour days. Loading trucks, driving routes, cold calling businesses, doing our own bookkeeping at night. Williams matched me hour for hour. We were building something from nothing, and it felt like magic. The first year was brutal. We barely broke even. There were nights I went home and cried from exhaustion, nights I wanted to quit. But Williams would call me at 2 a.m. and say, "You remember what we promised each other when we were 15? We're not quitters, Danny. We're builders." And I'd get up the next morning and do it again. By the second year, we had 5 trucks. By the third year, we had 12. We hired drivers, leased a small warehouse, got contracts with 3 major retailers. The money started coming in, real money. Not rich money, but enough to breathe. Enough to dream bigger. There was just one thing that was different from what we'd promised when we were kids. The business wasn't 50-50. Because Williams' parents had fronted the capital, the lawyers set it up so Williams owned 65% of the company and I owned 35%. Williams tried to explain it to me, said it was just paperwork, that we were still equal partners in spirit, that his parents insisted on the majority stake as security for their loan. "It don't change nothing between us," Williams said. "You know that, right?" I looked at my best friend, my brother, the man who'd had my back since we were 12 years old. "I know," I said. "We're good." And I meant it. I really did. I told myself the numbers on paper didn't matter. We were still building together, still grinding together, still dreaming together. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little voice in the back of my head, quiet as a whisper, asking, what if? What if things went wrong? What if Williams changed? What if that 65% became something I'd regret? I ignored that voice, pushed it down deep, told myself I was being paranoid. That was my first mistake. I met Monica Simmons at a church barbecue in the summer when I was 33 years old. I wasn't even supposed to be there. Williams had dragged me along because he was trying to network, always networking, always thinking about the next client, the next opportunity. I was standing by the grill, tired as hell from working a double shift, when this woman walked up and said, "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." I turned around and, I swear to God, it felt like time stopped. Monica had dark skin that glowed in the sunlight, natural hair pulled back in a ponytail, and these eyes that saw right through you. She wore a simple yellow sundress and sandals, nothing fancy, but she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. "That obvious?" I asked. She smiled. "I work as a nurse. I know exhaustion when I see it." We talked for 3 hours that day, about everything and nothing. She told me about growing up in D.C., about her grandmother who raised her, about nursing school and the hospital where she worked. I told her about the business, about Williams, about trying to build something that mattered. "You're one of the good ones," she said as the sun was setting. I can tell. How can you tell? I asked. Because you talk about we and not I, she said. Most men I meet, it's all about them. You care about people. That's rare. We started dating 2 weeks later. Within 6 months, I knew I wanted to marry her. Monica was everything I didn't know I needed. She was smart and funny and called me out when I was being stubborn. She worked 12-hour shifts at Johns Hopkins Hospital, came home exhausted, and still asked about my day like she really wanted to know. She met my mama and my sisters and fit right in, laughing at the kitchen table like she'd always been there. She met Williams, and they hit it off immediately. She even joked that she was stealing his best friend. Danny's too good for you anyway, Williams laughed. You better treat him right, Monica. Oh, I plan to, she said, and kissed my cheek. I proposed to her on a cold February night on the steps of the Washington Monument. Nothing fancy. I couldn't afford fancy. Just me, her, a ring I'd saved 6 months to buy, and a promise that I'd spend the rest of my life trying to deserve her. She cried and said yes. We got married that September in a small ceremony at Bethel AME Church. Williams was my best man. He gave a speech at the reception that made everyone laugh and cry. He talked about the 2 kids from East Baltimore who'd promised each other they'd make something of their lives, and how proud he was that we'd kept that promise. And now Danny's got a partner in life who's going to keep him honest, Williams said, raising his glass. To Danny and Monica, may you build a life as solid as the business we built together. Everyone cheered. Monica squeezed my hand. I looked at Williams and mouthed, thank you. That night, lying in bed next to my new wife in our tiny apartment, I felt something I'd never felt before. Complete happiness. Complete peace. I thought I had it all figured out. I didn't know that happiness is the most fragile thing in the world, that it can be taken from you by the people you trust most. I didn't know that the man who'd stood beside me in that church, the man I called my brother, would be the one to destroy everything. But I'd find out soon enough. The first 2 years of my marriage to Monica were the best years of my life. The business was growing. We'd expanded to 28 trucks and had contracts all over Maryland and D.C. Money wasn't tight anymore. Monica and I moved from that tiny apartment to a small house in Parkville with a yard and a basement. Nothing extravagant, but it was ours. We talked about having kids, about taking a vacation, maybe going to Jamaica, something we'd never been able to afford. Life felt full. Life felt right. But looking back now, that's when I should have noticed the changes in Williams. It started small. Little things I told myself didn't mean nothing. Williams started working later and later. Used to be we'd close up the office around 7 p.m., grab beers, talk about the day. But now he'd wave me off. You go home to your wife, Danny. I got some paperwork to finish. You sure? I can stay and help. Nah, man. Monica's waiting for you. Don't keep her waiting. At first I thought he was just being considerate, giving me space for my marriage. Then I started noticing he'd get quiet when Monica and I talked about our weekend plans, about the house we were fixing up, about maybe starting a family. His smile would get tight around the edges. His jokes would have a sharpness to them. Must be nice, he'd say, having someone to go home to. Will, you could have that too, I'd say. You're a catch, man. Good looking, successful, smart. You just gotta put yourself out there. He'd laugh, but it didn't reach his eyes. Yeah, maybe. Monica noticed before I did. One night, about 3 years into our marriage, she was getting ready for bed and said, Is Williams okay? What do you mean? I don't know. He just seems different lately. Distant. Sad, maybe. I thought about it. Business has been stressful. We got a lot of new contracts and we're struggling to keep up with demand. He's probably just tired. Maybe, Monica said, but she looked worried. You should check on him. Make sure he's taking care of himself. So I did. I invited Williams over for dinner the next week. Monica made her famous lasagna, the one everyone always raved about. We sat around our kitchen table, ate good food, laughed at old stories from middle school. Remember when we convinced Mrs. Patterson we'd done our homework but left it at home? Williams said, and she made us write "I will not lie to my teacher" 500 times? My hand cramped for a week, I laughed. Good times, Williams said. Then his smile faded. He looked around our kitchen, at the photos of me and Monica on the walls, the little touches Monica had added to make the house feel like home. You got a good life here, Danny. You really do. You'll have this too, I said. Just gotta find the right woman. Yeah, William said quietly. The right woman. Something in his voice made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. But before I could ask what he meant, Monica brought out dessert, and the moment passed. The thing is, I was so focused on the business and my marriage that I missed all the signs. I missed how William started showing up at our house more often, always with some excuse. I was in the neighborhood. I brought over those contracts you needed to review. I thought Monica might like these flowers, saw them at the store and thought of her garden. I missed how he'd linger after dinner, how he'd offer to help Monica clean up while I took work calls in the other room. I missed how Monica got quieter, how she'd go to bed earlier, how sometimes I'd catch her staring out the window with this look on her face I couldn't read. I missed it all because I trusted them, both of them. That was my second mistake. Then came the day everything started to unravel. It was a Thursday in October. I remember because it was our 4th wedding anniversary, and I'd planned to take Monica to the fancy restaurant downtown, the one we'd walked past 100 times but never went to because it was too expensive. I came home from work at 5:30 p.m. to change and get ready. Called out, "Monica, baby, I'm home." No answer. I walked through the house. Her car was in the driveway, so I knew she was home. I checked the kitchen, the bedroom, the bathroom. Finally found her in the basement, sitting on the old couch we'd moved down there, crying. "Monica, baby, what's wrong?" She looked up at me, and for a second, just a second, I saw something in her eyes that scared me. Guilt, shame, something. "Nothing," she said quickly, wiping her face. "Just a rough day at work. Lost a patient." Monica was a nurse in the ICU. She lost patients sometimes. It always hit her hard. I sat down and held her. "I'm sorry, baby. You want to skip the restaurant? We can order in, watch a movie." "No," she said. "No, let's go. I want to go. I need to get out of my head." We went to the restaurant. She barely ate. She smiled when I toasted our 4 years together, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. "You sure you're okay?" I asked. "I'm fine," she said. "Just tired." 2 weeks later, I woke up at 3 a.m. to an empty bed. I walked through the house and found Monica sitting in the kitchen in the dark, staring at her phone. "Can't sleep?" I asked. She jumped like I'd caught her doing something wrong. "Jesus, Danny, you scared me." "Sorry." I sat down across from her. "What's going on?" "Nothing. Just checking my schedule for tomorrow." At 3 a.m., I couldn't sleep. I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and I saw it, the distance in her eyes, the way she wouldn't quite meet my gaze, the way her hands trembled slightly as she set down her phone. "Monica," I said slowly, "are we okay?" "Of course," she said. "Too fast, too bright. Why would you ask that?" "Because you're different. You've been different for weeks, and I don't know why. I'm just stressed with work and—" "Don't lie to me," I said, and I heard the edge in my own voice. "Please, if something's wrong, tell me." She stared at me for a long moment, and I swear to God, I saw her open her mouth like she was about to confess something, like she was about to tell me the truth. But then she smiled that fake smile again and said, "Everything's fine, Danny. You're just overthinking. Come back to bed." I should have pushed, should have demanded the truth right then and there. But I didn't, because I was scared of what that truth might be. I went back to bed, but I didn't sleep. And that was the night I started to suspect my wife was hiding something from me. I just never imagined it would be with Williams. The next few months were torture. You know that feeling when you know something's wrong, but you can't prove it? When you start questioning everything, every smile, every conversation, every "I'll be home late." That's where I was living. Monica's hospital shifts got longer, or at least that's what she told me. "They're short-staffed, baby. I have to cover." Again, that's the 3rd time this week. I know, I'm sorry, but people need care. And what could I say to that? My wife was a nurse, saving lives. How do you argue with that? But I'd call the hospital during her supposed shifts just to hear her voice, just to feel connected. And sometimes the receptionist would say, "Monica? She left an hour ago. Want me to try her cell?" When I'd mention it to Monica later, she'd have an explanation ready. "Oh, I went to grab dinner between shifts. I was in a patient room and couldn't answer." The receptionist was wrong. I was there. She probably mixed me up with another nurse. Always an answer. Always reasonable, but my gut knew better. Williams started acting strange too. He'd avoid my eyes during meetings. He'd change the subject when I mentioned Monica. He'd get phone calls and step outside to take them, voice low, face serious. One day I asked him straight up, "Man, what's going on with you lately?" "Nothing." "Why?" "You seem distracted, distant." "Just got a lot on my mind," he said. "The business, you know how it is. If something's wrong, you can talk to me. We're brothers, Will." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something flash across his face. Guilt? Fear? I couldn't tell. "I know," he said quietly. "I know we are." But he didn't tell me what was wrong. Then came the Friday that changed everything. I was supposed to be at a meeting with a potential client in D.C. Big contract, big opportunity. Williams and I had been working on the pitch for weeks, but that morning I woke up feeling sick. Stomach bug or food poisoning, I wasn't sure. I could barely get out of bed. "You need to stay home," Monica said. "Call Williams. He can handle the meeting." "You sure? This is important." "Your health is more important. Rest, baby. I'll call in sick to work and take care of you." I was touched. Monica never called in sick, but she was willing to do it for me. I called Williams. "Man, I'm sorry. I'm sick as a dog. Can you handle the DC meeting solo?" There was a pause. Then, "Yeah. Yeah, of course. Don't worry about it. Get some rest." I spent the morning in bed sleeping on and off. Monica brought me soup and crackers, felt my forehead, made me take medicine. She was the woman I'd married again, attentive, caring, present. Around 2 p.m. I was feeling a bit better. Monica was downstairs doing laundry. I decided to check my email, see if Williams had sent any updates about the meeting. That's when I saw it. An email from our accountant. Subject line, Q4 financial review, urgent. I opened it, expecting the usual numbers and projections. What I saw made my blood run cold. Withdrawals. Large withdrawals from the business account. 50,000 here, 30,000 there, 25,000, 15,000. All signed off by Williams. All marked as executive discretionary spending. Over $200,000 pulled out in the last 6 months. I called the accountant immediately. "Robert, what the hell is this?" "Danny, I've been trying to reach Williams for weeks about this. He keeps saying it's for business expansion, but he won't provide receipts or documentation." $200,000 and no documentation? "I know. I wanted to flag it with you, but Williams said he'd handle it," and I hung up. My hands were shaking. My best friend, my brother, was stealing from our business, or at the very least moving money without telling me. I called Williams. Straight to voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. Texted, "Call me, now." No response. I sat there in bed, my mind racing, trying to make sense of it, trying to find an explanation that wasn't betrayal. Then another thought hit me. Williams' strange behavior, Monica's late nights, the distance between us, the lies. No, it couldn't be. But once the thought entered my mind, I couldn't get it out. I got out of bed, ignoring the nausea, walked downstairs. Monica was folding laundry in the living room, humming to herself. "Feeling better?" she asked with a smile. "Where were you Tuesday night?" I asked. Her smile faltered. "What?" "Tuesday, you said you were working a double shift. I called the hospital. They said you left at 4 p.m. I told you I went to grab dinner before my next shift." "Stop lying to me." My voice came out louder than I intended. Harsher. Monica's face went pale. "Danny, what's going on? You tell me, where were you really?" "I was with a friend, a coworker. We got drinks and I didn't want to bother you because you were working late and—" "Which coworker?" "Sarah from pediatrics. Sarah was at my sister's birthday party on Tuesday. I saw her there. Try again." Monica's mouth opened, closed. No words came out, and I saw it. The truth in her eyes, the guilt, the shame, the confirmation of every terrible suspicion I'd been pushing down for months. "Oh God," I whispered. "Oh God, Monica, tell me you didn't." "Danny, tell me you didn't sleep with him." "Who? Danny, what are you?" "Williams," I shouted. "Tell me you didn't sleep with my best friend." The silence that followed was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. Monica stood there, laundry basket in her hands, tears streaming down her face. And she didn't say no. She didn't deny it. She just cried. I want you to imagine that moment. The moment your whole world, everything you built, everything you believed in, everyone you loved, reveals itself to be a lie. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't move. "How long?" I finally managed to ask. "Danny, how long?" "6 months," she whispered. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to happen. He was just there and you were always working and he listened in 6 months, half a year. While I was working my ass off to provide for us, while I was building a life with her, while I trusted my best friend with everything. Get out, I said. What? Get out of my house, right now. Danny, please, we can talk about this. Get out! She grabbed her purse and ran out the door, sobbing. I stood there in my living room, surrounded by photos of our life together. Our wedding, our vacations, our dreams. All of it a lie. But I wasn't done yet, not by a long shot, because I needed proof. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed to catch them in the act, and I knew exactly how to do it. The next morning, I woke up on the couch, didn't even remember lying down. My phone had 17 missed calls from Monica and 12 from Williams. I didn't call back. Instead, I got in my car and drove to Best Buy in Towson. Walked straight to the security section. A young kid with acne and a name tag that said Marcus greeted me. Can I help you find something, sir? I need a security camera system, I said. Something I can monitor from my phone. Something with good picture quality. Something they won't notice. Marcus's eyebrows went up. Everything okay? I looked at this kid. Couldn't have been more than 22. Probably never been married. Probably never had his heart ripped out of his chest by the two people he trusted most in the world. Just need to keep my house safe, I said. He showed me 3 different systems. I bought the most expensive one. Didn't even flinch at the price. What's $300 when your whole life is burning down? I installed the camera myself that afternoon in the corner of the living room, hidden behind a decorative plant Monica had bought at Target. Tiny thing, barely noticeable if you weren't looking for it, but it had a clear view of the entire room, the couch, the kitchen entrance, the hallway to the bedroom. The app on my phone showed me everything in real time. Crystal clear picture, audio that picked up whispers from across the room. Then I texted Monica, "Come home. We need to talk." She showed up an hour later, eyes red from crying, mascara smudged. She looked like she hadn't slept. Good. Neither had I. "Danny," she said as soon as she walked in, "please, let me explain." "Sit down," I said. She sat on the couch, the same couch where I'd later watch her betray me. But I didn't know that yet. Not fully. "I made a mistake," she said. "A terrible, terrible mistake. But it's over. I ended it. I told Williams we can't." "When did it start?" I cut her off. 6 months ago. I told you that." "Where? Does it matter?" "Where, Monica?" She looked down at her hands. "Here. And at his apartment, a hotel once. A hotel. They'd gone to a hotel, planned it out, got a room, spent hours together doing God knows what. I felt bile rising in my throat. "Why?" I asked. The only question that mattered. Monica was quiet for a long time. "Then you were never home, Danny. You were always at work, always with Williams, always focused on the business." I felt invisible. And then Williams started coming around more, asking how I was doing, actually listening when I talked. He made me feel seen. "So you fucked him." She flinched at the word. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" "It just happened. One night he came over to drop off papers and you were on a call in your office. We were having wine and talking and it just happened." "Nothing just happens, Monica. You made a choice. You made 100 choices. Every time you lied to me. Every time you met him. Every time you came home and kissed me like nothing was wrong." Tears rolled down her face. I know I did. And I hate myself for it. But I'm here now. I'm choosing us. I'm choosing you. Please, Danny, we can get through this. We can go to counseling. We can get out," I said. "What?" I said, "Get out. I'm done with you." "Danny, please, out." She left. Again. And I sat there in my house, staring at the camera I just installed, knowing that I needed more than her confession. I needed proof. Video proof. Because a part of me, that stupid, loyal, desperate part of me, still hoped she was telling the truth about ending it. I called Williams. He answered on the first ring. "Danny, man, I've been trying to reach you." "We need to talk about the money," I said. "The $200,000. Silence. Then? "What money?" "Don't play games with me. Our accountant sent me the records. $200,000 gone from the business account. Your signature on every withdrawal." "Danny, I can explain." "So explain. Not over the phone. Let's meet. Tonight. My place." "I'm busy tonight," I lied. "Tomorrow." "Tomorrow then. 7 p.m. My apartment. I'll show you all the receipts, everything. It's not what you think." "It better not be." I hung up before he could say more. The next 3 days were the longest of my life. I went to work, smiled at employees, signed paperwork, pretended everything was fine, all while checking my phone every 5 minutes, watching the live feed from the camera in my house. Nothing. Monica didn't come by. I texted her, going to a work conference in D.C. tomorrow. Be gone all day. We'll talk when I get back. She responded immediately, okay, I love you. 3 words that used to mean everything. Now they just made me sick. The next day, Tuesday, I left the house at 8 a.m. like I was heading to D.C. Drove around the corner, parked at a 7-Eleven, opened the camera app on my phone, and I waited. At 10:47 a.m., my front door opened. Monica walked in. She was wearing jeans and a blue sweater. Her hair was down. She looked around the house like she was making sure she was alone. Then she pulled out her phone and made a call. I couldn't hear what she was saying from the camera, but I saw her smile, saw her nod, saw her sit down on the couch. 30 minutes later, my front door opened again. Williams walked in. He was wearing a suit, the expensive one I'd joked that he wore on special occasions. His hair was freshly cut. He was carrying a bottle of wine. I watched him close the door behind him. Lock it. I watched Monica stand up from the couch. I watched her walk to him, and I watched her kiss him. Not a friendly kiss. Not a goodbye kiss. Not an it's over kiss. A kiss that said, I've been waiting for you. A kiss that said, I want this. A kiss that said everything I needed to know. They broke apart and William said something. Monica laughed. He poured wine into 2 glasses, my glasses from my kitchen cabinet, and they sat on the couch. My couch. They talked, smiled, touched each other's hands. Then Williams leaned in close and I heard his voice come through my phone speaker, clear as day. Did you tell him yet? Tell him what? Monica asked. That you're leaving him, that you're choosing me. Monica looked down at her wine. I tried, but he's so angry, Will, he won't even listen. He doesn't deserve you anyway. Never did. All he cares about is that damn business. I'm the one who's been here. I'm the one who sees you, really sees you. I know, Monica whispered. I can give you everything he can't. Williams continued. His hand moved to her thigh. A better house, better life. You won't have to work those crazy hospital shifts anymore. I'll take care of you. I've got the money, Monica. I've got everything. What about the business? Monica asked. What about Daniel's share? Williams laughed. Actually laughed. Baby, I own 65% of that company. Danny can't touch me. And honestly, I've been thinking about buying him out. Or better yet, letting him walk away with nothing. He's got no legal leg to stand on for half the decisions I make. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. Won't he fight you? Monica asked. Let him try. I've got lawyers. I've got money. I've got everything. And soon I'll have you. He pulled her closer. Leave him, Monica. Today, right now. Pack your bags and come stay with me. We'll figure out the rest later. I'm scared, Monica said. Of what? Of hurting him more than I already have. Williams put his hand on her face, made her look at him. You can't worry about him anymore. You have to worry about us, about our future. Do you love me? Monica's voice was barely a whisper. Yes. Then choose me. Choose us. And then he kissed her again. I didn't watch what happened next. I couldn't. I threw my phone onto the passenger seat and screamed until my throat was raw, punched the steering wheel until my knuckles bled, cried until I couldn't breathe. My best friend, my brother, the man I'd built a life with, the man who'd promised me 50-50, who'd promised we'd always be partners. He'd been planning this, using the business money, my money I'd sweated and bled for, to seduce my wife, to build a life with her, to push me out of everything I'd created. And my wife, my Monica, the woman I'd promised my life to, the woman I'd worked myself to the bone for, she loved him. She chose him. I sat in that 7-Eleven parking lot for 3 hours. At 2:47 p.m., I checked the camera feed again. They were still there, still on my couch. Williams had his arms around Monica. She had her head on his chest. They looked like a couple. They looked happy. They looked like what me and Monica used to look like. I saved the video, downloaded it to my phone, made 3 backup copies. Then I drove home. I pulled into my driveway at 5:30 p.m. Williams' car was gone. Monica's car was still there. I walked into my house. Monica was in the kitchen, cooking dinner like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't spent the afternoon in another man's arms. Like she hadn't just destroyed our entire marriage. Hey, baby. She said with a smile when she saw me, "How was DC?" I didn't answer, just pulled out my phone, opened the video, pressed play. "What's that?" she asked, walking over. I turned the phone toward her. She saw herself on the screen, saw Williams, saw the kiss, the color drain from her face. "Danny, don't." My voice was cold, calm, deadly. "Don't you dare say my name." How did you? "You really thought I wouldn't find out?" I asked. "You really thought you could play me like this?" "It's not what it looks like." I turned the volume up. Her own voice came through the speaker. "Yes, I love him." Monica's hands flew to her mouth. "Oh, God." "You love him," I said. "You're leaving me for him. He's got the money. He can give you everything I can't. Isn't that what you said?" I didn't mean it like, "Stop lying to me," I roared. "For once in your miserable life, stop lying." She was crying now, full sobs. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. It just got complicated and complicated. You fucked my best friend in my house, on my couch, while I was working to build a life for us. That's not complicated. That's betrayal. That's evil. Please, Danny. Please, Danny. I'll end it. I'll never see him again. We can fix this." "There is no we anymore," I said. "You killed we the moment you opened your legs for Williams." She slapped me, hard, across the face. I didn't flinch, just stared at her. "You want to know why I did it?" she screamed. "Because you were never here. Because you loved that business more than you loved me. Because I was lonely and tired, and Williams actually gave a damn about me." "I worked for you," I shouted back. "Every 16-hour day, every missed dinner, every time I pushed myself until I could barely stand. I did it for US, for our future. And you threw it away for a man with a fatter wallet." "It wasn't about money." "That's exactly what it was about. I heard the video, Monica. He's got money. He can take care of you. He's buying you with the money he stole from our business. Money that's half mine. Money I earned." "Stole? What are you talking about?" $200,000, I said. "Gone from the business account. Williams has been bleeding the company dry, and you know what he's been spending it on? You. Fancy dinners, hotels, wine, buying my wife with my own money." Monica's face went pale. "I didn't know about that. I swear I didn't. I don't care what you knew. Get your stuff and get out." "Where am I supposed to go?" "Go to Williams. He's got the money, right? He can take care of you. That's what you want anyway." "Danny, please." "You've got 1 hour," I said. "Then I'm calling the police and having you removed." She packed 2 suitcases, moved like a ghost through our bedroom, pulling clothes from drawers, toiletries from the bathroom. I stood in the doorway and watched her. This woman I'd loved, this woman I'd built dreams with, this stranger. "I never meant to hurt you," she said quietly as she zipped up the second suitcase. "I need you to know that." "But you did hurt me," I said. "You destroyed me, and you didn't even have the decency to be honest about it." I was confused. I was weak. I made mistakes. Mistakes are forgetting to pick up milk. This was a choice, 100 choices, and you made every single one. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know. Did you ever love me?" I asked, the question I'd been afraid to ask. She looked at me. "Yes, I did. I do, but I also love him, and I can't explain it. I can't make sense of it. I'm so sorry." "You love him because he's rich," I said. "That's all this is. You found a better deal and you took it." "That's not fair." "Fair? You want to talk about fair? I gave you everything I had. Everything. And it wasn't enough because I couldn't buy you expensive things. Because I was too busy working my ass off to build a future." Monica was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Maybe you're right. Maybe I am that shallow. Maybe I am that broken. But I can't change how I feel, and I can't keep living a lie." "Then don't," I said. "Go live your truth with Williams, but don't expect me to forgive you, and don't expect me to make this easy." She picked up her suitcases and walked to the door, turned back one last time. "I really am sorry," she said. "So am I said. "Sorry I ever met you." She left, and I stood there in my empty house, surrounded by the wreckage of my life, and I made myself a promise. I wasn't going to be a victim. I wasn't going to let them win. I was going to fight back, and I was going to take everything from them the way they'd taken everything from me. I called my lawyer at 7 a.m. the next morning. His name was Marcus Thompson, a brother from West Baltimore who'd worked his way through law school driving cabs at night. He'd handled all the business contracts for Hayes and Carter Logistics. Now he was going to help me destroy it. "I need to see you today," I said. It's urgent. Everything okay, Danny? No, everything is not okay. Can you meet me? We met at a diner on Route 40 at 9 a.m. I brought my laptop, showed him everything. The video of Monica and Williams, the bank statements showing the missing money, the business documents showing Williams' majority stake. Marcus watched it all in silence. When the video ended, he sat back and let out a long breath. Damn, Danny, I'm sorry, man. I don't need sorry. I need strategy. Can I sue him? Him, you can sue both of them. Your wife for adultery and emotional distress, Williams for breach of fiduciary duty, embezzlement, and fraud. Adultery? Maryland still has adultery laws? Damn right it does. And if you can prove Williams used business funds to finance the affair, which you can, that's misappropriation of corporate assets. He's cooked. What about the business? Can I force him to buy me out? Marcus pulled out his notepad, started writing. Better than that. If we prove he's been stealing, we can petition for dissolution of the partnership, force him to liquidate, or we can sue for the full value of what he stole, plus damages. We're talking easily $500,000 by the time we add up the missing money, the emotional distress, and punitive damages. He doesn't have that kind of money. Then we seize assets, the business, his apartment, his car, everything. I felt something shift inside me. Not quite hope, but something close to it. Justice. The possibility of justice. Do it, I said. File everything. I want him to lose everything the way I lost everything. Marcus nodded. You sure about this? This is going to get ugly. It's going to be public. Everyone's going to know your business. I don't care, I said. Let them know. Let the whole world know what kind of man Williams Hayes is. What kind of woman Monica is. I'm done protecting them. All right then, Marcus said. Let's go to war. We filed the lawsuits 3 days later. One against Monica for adultery, alienation of affection, and emotional distress. One against Williams for fraud, embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty, and about 6 other charges Marcus had dug up. The papers were served at 10 a.m. on a Friday morning. Williams called me at 10:47 a.m. Are you out of your mind? He screamed into the phone. You're suing me? Yes. For what? We're partners, Danny. We built this together. We were partners, I said, until you decided to fuck my wife and steal my money. Silence. Then, who told you? Nobody told me. I saw it. Got the whole thing on video, you kissing her, telling her to leave me, bragging about how much money you have, about how you can push me out of the business. All of it. More silence. Danny, let me explain. Explain what? How you spent 6 months sleeping with Monica? How you stole $200,000 from our company to buy her nice things? How you plan to force me out of the business I built with my bare hands? Please, explain. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Will? Help me understand how your best friend becomes someone who would do this. I heard him breathing heavy on the other end. Then his voice changed. Got cold. Got hard. You want to go to war with me, Danny? Fine. But you're going to lose. I own 65% of this company. I have lawyers. I have money. You have nothing. I have the truth, I said, and I have proof. See you in court. I hung up. Monica called 20 minutes later. Danny, please, you can't sue me. This is insane. You committed adultery. In Maryland, that has legal consequences. But I could lose everything. My nursing license, my reputation, everything. Funny, I said. That's exactly what you took from me. How does it feel? I made a mistake? And now you're going to pay for it. Please, I'm begging you. Drop the lawsuit. I'll give you everything in the divorce. The house, the savings, everything. Just don't do this. Should have thought about that before you fucked my best friend. I hung up on her too. The next 2 months were chaos. Word spread fast through Baltimore. Everyone in our business circles, our church, our neighborhood, everyone knew. Danny Carter's wife had an affair with his business partner. Danny Carter was fighting back. I lost friends. People who took Williams' side because he had money and influence. People who said I was being vindictive. People who said I should let it go and move on. But I also gained supporters. My mama, my sisters. People from our church who'd watched me grow up and knew my character. People who'd seen Williams change over the years, seen him get cold and greedy. And my lawyer was building a case that couldn't be beaten. We had the video. We had bank records. We had emails between Williams and Monica that one of our employees, a sister from church who'd always liked me, had found on Williams' office computer and accidentally sent to me. In one email, Williams wrote, "Once the business really takes off, we can push Daniel out. You and me, baby, living the life we deserve." In another, Monica wrote, "I feel guilty, but I also feel alive. Danny is a good man, but you make me feel rich." There it was, in writing, the truth of what they'd done, the proof that they'd conspired against me. The preliminary hearing was in November. We sat in a courtroom in downtown Baltimore, me on one side with Marcus, Williams, and Monica on the other with their lawyers. An expensive team from D.C. that Williams had paid for with what was probably more of my money. The judge was a black woman in her 60s named Judge Patricia Monroe. She'd heard it all in her 30 years on the bench. She wasn't impressed by expensive suits or fancy lawyers. She read through our filings, watched the video, reviewed the bank statements. Then she looked at Williams. "Mr. Hayes," she said, "is it true that you withdrew over $200,000 from the business account without your partner's knowledge or approval?" Williams' lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, my client was exercising his rights as majority shareholder. I asked Mr. Hayes," Judge Monroe said. "Not you. Mr. Hayes?" Williams stood, cleared his throat. "Yes, Your Honor, but I plan to return it. It was temporary. Temporary for 6 months? And where did this money go? Business expenses, marketing, client dinners, expansion research. Do you have receipts?" Silence. "I asked you a question, Mr. Hayes. Do you have documentation for how this money was spent?" "Some of it, not all, but I can." "You can sit down," Judge Monroe said. Her voice was ice. She turned to Monica. "Mrs. Carter, do you deny engaging in an extramarital affair with Mr. Hayes?" Monica's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client invokes her Fifth Amendment." "This isn't a criminal trial," Judge Monroe said. "Yet, Mrs. Carter, yes or no?" Monica stood slowly. She looked small, broken. "No, Your Honor, I don't deny it." Judge Monroe looked at both of them for a long moment. Then she looked at me. "Mr. Carter," she said, "I'm sorry this happened to you. No one deserves to be betrayed like this." "Thank you, Your Honor." She turned back to Williams and Monica. "I'm issuing a temporary restraining order. Mr. Hayes, you are not to touch any business accounts or make any corporate decisions without Mr. Carter's written approval. Mrs. Carter, you are to vacate the marital home immediately. We'll reconvene in 60 days for the full trial." She banged her gavel. Court dismissed. I walked out of that courtroom feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Power. Control. Justice. Marcus clapped me on the back. "We got him, Danny. This is just the beginning." He was right. But what I didn't know was that Williams wasn't done fighting, and that desperate people do desperate things, things that would change everything all over again. Williams showed up at my house at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday in December. I heard the pounding on my door, looked through the peephole, and saw him standing there, drunk, disheveled, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Danny!" he shouted. "Open up. We need to talk." I opened the door but kept the chain lock on. "You're violating the restraining order." "I don't care about the restraining order. I don't care about any of it. Just listen to me." "I'm calling the police. Please," his voice cracked. "Please, Danny. Just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes and I'll never bother you again." Against my better judgment, I opened the door, let him in. He stumbled into my living room, sat down hard on the couch, the same couch where I'd watched him betray me. "I'm sorry," he said, started crying, actually crying. "I'm so sorry, Danny. I never meant for it to go this far. I never meant to hurt you." "But you did." I know I did, and I can't take it back. I can't fix it." He looked up at me, his eyes red and swollen. "I was jealous, man. When you got married, when you had this life, this happiness, I've been lonely for so long, and I wanted what you had. So you took it. I didn't mean to. It started innocent, just talking to Monica, being there for her when you were working. And then one night we had too much wine and I kissed her and she didn't stop me, and he put his head in his hands. I'm not making excuses. I know what I did. I'm just trying to help you understand." "There's nothing to understand," I said. "You betrayed me. End of story." "The money," Williams said. "I was using it to pay off debts, gambling debts. I got in deep with some bad people and I was trying to dig myself out. I never meant to steal from you. I was going to pay it back." Gambling debts. This was new information. "How much do you owe?" "150,000, maybe more now with interest." Jesus will. I know. I'm an idiot. I'm a screw up. I destroyed everything, the business, our friendship, your marriage, and now I'm going to lose everything in court, and I deserve it. I deserve all of it. He was sobbing now, full, body-shaking sobs. Part of me wanted to comfort him, wanted to be his friend again, wanted to fix this the way we'd fixed everything when we were kids. But I couldn't, because he'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. You need to leave, I said quietly. Danny, I said leave, before I call the cops. He stood up slowly, walked to the door, turned back. For what it's worth, he said, I really did love you like a brother, and I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life. Good, I said. You should. He left. I locked the door behind him and stood there for a long time, wondering if I had just made a mistake, wondering if I should have shown him mercy. But mercy is for people who deserve it. And Williams had run out of second chances. The trial started in January, courtroom 4B in the Baltimore Circuit Court, Judge Monroe presiding. It lasted 3 weeks. Marcus was brilliant. He presented the video evidence, the bank statements, the emails, the testimonies from employees who'd seen Williams and Monica together. The accountant who confirmed the missing money had no legitimate business purpose. Williams's lawyers tried everything. They argued that Williams had majority control and could do what he wanted with the money. They argued that my surveillance of Monica was illegal. It wasn't. Maryland is a one-party consent state, and it was my house. They tried to paint me as a controlling husband who drove Monica into Williams' arms. But Judge Monroe wasn't buying it. On the witness stand, Williams admitted to the affair, admitted to taking the money. Tried to explain about the gambling debts, but Marcus tore him apart. So you stole from your best friend to pay off illegal gambling debts? Marcus asked. I didn't steal. I borrowed. Without asking, without permission, without documentation. That's theft, Mr. Hayes. Williams had no answer. Monica testified too, cried on the stand, said she was sorry that she'd made mistakes, that she never meant to hurt me. But when Marcus asked her about the email where she wrote, "You make me feel rich," she couldn't explain it away. Mrs. Carter, Marcus said, did you love Mr. Hayes or did you love his money? I loved him, she said weakly. But you also wrote in this email that Mr. Carter was a good man, but you make me feel rich. What did you mean by that? I don't know. I was confused. You weren't confused. You made a calculated decision to trade a good man for a rich man. Isn't that the truth? She didn't answer, just cried. My sisters came to court every day, sat behind me in support. My mama was too sick to come, but she called me every night and prayed with me over the phone. People from our church came, old neighbors, people who'd known me since I was a kid. Williams and Monica had no one, just their lawyers. On the final day of the trial, Judge Monroe asked if I wanted to make a statement before she delivered her verdict. I stood up, looked at Williams and Monica. I gave you everything, I said. My voice shook, but I kept going. I trusted you with my business, with my life, with my heart, and you took that trust and crushed it. You didn't just cheat, you conspired, you planned. You stole from me and thought I'd never find out, but I did. And now the whole world knows what kind of people you are. Monica was crying. William stared at the floor. I hope it was worth it, I said. I hope those 6 months were worth losing everything. I sat down. Judge Monroe cleared her throat. I've heard enough. I'm ready to deliver my verdict. The courtroom went silent. In the case of Carter v. Hayes, I find in favor of the plaintiff on all counts. Mr. Hayes, you violated your fiduciary duty to your business partner, misappropriated corporate funds, and engaged in fraud. I'm ordering you to pay Mr. Carter $200,000 for the stolen funds, plus $300,000 in damages, interest, and legal fees. Additionally, I'm ordering the dissolution of Hayes and Carter Logistics. The business assets will be liquidated and split according to ownership percentage, meaning Mr. Carter gets 35% and you get 65%. However, given the amount you owe Mr. Carter, your share will be seized to satisfy the judgment. William's face went white. In the case of Carter v. Carter, I find in favor of the plaintiff for adultery and emotional distress. Mrs. Carter, you are ordered to pay Mr. Carter $100,000 in damages. You are also forfeiting all rights to marital assets, including the house, vehicles, and savings accounts. Mr. Carter is granted a fault-based divorce on grounds of adultery. Monica sobbed. Her lawyer tried to object, but Judge Monroe cut him off. "I've made my ruling. Court dismissed." I walked out of that courtroom a free man, and a rich man, not wealthy but comfortable. The business liquidation plus the judgments came out to just over $800,000 after legal fees. Williams and Monica, they were destroyed. Williams had to file for bankruptcy, lost his apartment, his cars, everything. The gambling debts collectors came after him next. Last I heard, he moved back in with his elderly parents, broken and ashamed. Monica lost her house, my house, and had to move into a tiny apartment in Dundalk. She still works as a nurse, but her reputation is ruined. Everyone knows what she did. She'll be paying off that $100,000 judgment for the rest of her life. Some people said I was too harsh, that I should have shown mercy. But you know what I learned? Mercy without justice is just weakness. And I wasn't going to be weak anymore. It's been 37 years since that trial. I'm 73 now, sitting on the porch of the house I bought after everything was settled, a nice place in Catonsville with a view of the trees. Quiet, peaceful. People always ask me if I regret it. If I regret destroying Williams and Monica the way I did. The answer is complicated. Do I regret losing my best friend? Yes, every day. I think about the kids we were, sitting on those store steps, dreaming about building something. I think about all the good years before it went bad. Do I regret loving Monica? No. She taught me what love was and what it wasn't. Do I regret fighting back? Not for a second. See, that's the thing people don't understand about betrayal. It changes you. It takes something soft inside you and turns it to stone. And you have a choice. You can let that stone crush you, or you can use it to build something stronger. I chose to build. With the money from the settlement, I started my own company, Carter Logistics. Just me and 3 employees at first. But I did it right this time. No partners, no one to stab me in the back. The company grew. 10 employees, 20, 50. At its peak, we had 140 employees and contracts across the Eastern Seaboard. I sold it 5 years ago for $12 million. Retired comfortable, more than comfortable. But money ain't what gave me peace. I found peace in church. Rededicated my life to Christ 2 years after the trial. Started volunteering with youth programs, helping kids from neighborhoods like where I grew up, showing them there's another path. I found peace in therapy. Yeah, a 73-year-old black man admitting I went to therapy. Took me years to work through the anger, the betrayal, the pain, but I did, and I'm better for it. I found peace in forgiveness, not the cheap kind where you pretend it didn't happen, the real kind where you acknowledge what was done and choose to let go of the hate. It took me almost 20 years to forgive Williams and Monica, but I did. For me, not for them. I never spoke to Williams again after the trial. Heard he died 3 years ago. Heart attack. His parents' funeral was quiet. I didn't go, but I prayed for him that day. Prayed that wherever he is, he found the peace he never had here. Monica, I saw her once about 10 years ago at a grocery store. She looked old, tired, alone. She saw me, opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, then just walked away. I felt sad for her, not pity. Just sadness for what could have been if she'd chosen differently. I never remarried. Dated a few women over the years, but never found anyone I wanted to build a life with. And that's okay. I built a good life by myself. I have my sisters, their kids, their grandkids. I'm Uncle Danny to a whole generation of young people who think I'm cool because I tell them stories about the old days. I have my church family, my friends, my community. I have my peace. But I'd be lying if I said there aren't nights when I wake up at 3 a.m. and wonder what my life would have been like if Williams had been honest. If Monica had been faithful, if we'd really been the 50-50 partners we promised to be as kids. Would I be happier? Would I have kids? Grandkids? Would I be less lonely? I don't know. What I do know is this. You can't build a life on lies. You can't trust people who show you their true colors and expect them to change. And you can't let betrayal turn you into someone you're not. I fought back. I won. I survived. And in surviving, I learned who I really was. Not Daniel Carter, the poor kid from East Baltimore who needed validation. Not Daniel Carter, the loyal friend who'd accept anything to keep the peace. Not Daniel Carter, the husband who'd forgive anything for love. Just Daniel Carter, a man who knew his worth, a man who wouldn't accept disrespect, A man who could stand alone and be okay. I look back at that 35-year-old man watching a video of his wife kissing his best friend, and I want to tell him something. It's going to hurt. God, it's going to hurt worse than anything you've ever felt. You're going to cry yourself to sleep for months. You're going to question everything. You're going to wonder if you'll ever trust anyone again. But you're going to survive. You're going to build something better than what they destroyed. You're going to find peace, real peace, the kind that comes from knowing exactly who you are and not apologizing for it. The kind that comes from standing up for yourself when everyone tells you to let it go. The kind that comes from choosing justice over comfort. Peace ain't free, young man. You got to fight for it. You got to earn it. You got to lose everything to find out what really matters. But when you do, when you finally do, it's worth it. So that's my story, the story of how I lost everything and found myself. If you made it this far, I thank you for listening, for caring, for giving an old man a chance to tell his truth. Drop a comment and tell me what you think. Tell me if you've been betrayed. Tell me if you found peace on the other side. And remember, betrayal don't define you. How you respond to it does. I'm Daniel Carter. I'm 73 years old. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm finally at peace. If this story touched you, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because we all got stories. We all got pain. And sometimes the only way through is to tell the truth, no matter how much it hurts. God bless you all. And remember, you're stronger than you think. You're worth more than someone's betrayal. And peace, real peace, is possible even after everything falls apart.